Hey everybody, Arturo, Evan, Johnny back again for another episode of Espooky's Talk. Here's the big question, guys. Honestly, what are we talking about? Johnny, do you have any scary stories?
I usually pay people, like a therapist, to talk about it. So.
Hey everybody, Arturo here with Eva and Johnny with another episode of
Espooky's Talk.
There you go, guys. It's that podcast where we talk about everything Espookies. And today's kind of special because you always hear me and, of course, the bruja of all brujas, Eva. But today on mic is Johnny.
That's true. I'm here to be extra scared.
Extra Espookies. Johnny is our engineer extraordinaire. He's behind every episode. And today he thought to himself, he said, self, I think I have something to say. Well, you guys, last episode, we were kind of chopping it up here at the table, and we were talking about just a bunch of different things that we all have interest in, things that we've experienced, things that people have shared with us. And one of the things after that episode, we talked for a while, and we talked about like eerie places that have energy. You say it, I say it all the time now, and I stole it from you, and I'm going to say it again, everyone. Energy is infinite. Energy is infinite. And when you go to certain places where something has happened, something is actually held on to that energy, and you enter that zone, you feel it. You feel different. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about. But you didn't steal it from me. I borrowed it from somewhere else. It's just borrowed. But
no, I stole it. I'm making it mine. I put it in my pocket, and now I bring it out every time I want it. Here it goes.
But energy is so important. Because like I keep saying, it's infinite in the sense that it gets recycled. It has to go somewhere.
Wow.
I mean, that's like a law of the universe, right? Like physics.
Correct.
Energy cannot be destroyed, or, whatever that is.
And with quantum physics, we're getting there.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that what I love about what we explore and the things that we dive into is the fact that I feel specific energy is maintained and held based off of like interactions, what happens there, people's, how they felt about a place, and when we start talking about things like, I hate to use the word haunted places, but that's kind of how we originally started talking about it. Because I've been to a few. I know you guys have been to a few, and it's different. There's a different feel.
I was gonna say against my will most of the time, but yeah.
And you know what's really funny, Johnny, is I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna drag you to a few of those places. You know that.
I had a feeling that was coming.
Well,
yeah.
it's coming. It's coming. One of the most craziest places that I myself have ever been. If you guys don't mind, I tell the first one. And I know I've mentioned it before. And I've been there several times, and I've been there during a night tour where we actually got to go and used some electronics and some things to actually try to have an intelligent communication with spirits and things like that, was Preston Castle. Preston Castle is like a boys' reformatory. It's like a old school, straight up, back in the day, basically prison for kids. And it was creepy. It's out in Ione, California, which I know previously I said was in Calaveras County. It's not. It's in Amador County. But, it's just a creepy location. And it's built like a castle. Like, I could show you guys a picture and you're going to be like, oh, there's a castle in California. It's built like a castle. And things there have happened, not just to the kids and to the inmates and things, that back in the day, but the reason people go there, and it's been on Ghost Adventures, it's been a place of interest for a lot of people who have a lot of experience in this because of some things that have happened there. And I saw some pictures that this lady was showing me that some of the people who visited have taken, and by golly, they freaked me out. Just freaky. But talk about energy. Like, Lori and I were walking around, and they had cat toys and different things that light up. They had the little box that, that can hear, or that you can talk through, like the spirit box. Spirit box. They had
I've been wanting one of those.
all of that equipment, and things were coming through. And not every place there. We were specifically in the infirmary. Really heavy, really different, really freaky. And there was one other spot where I guess it must have been like a bunks, but in there, I'm not lying to you guys, we're talking about 15, 20-foot ceilings and things like that upstairs. And up on the beams where there's no possible way you get up there, there's carvings of these kids who managed to get up there.
Whoa.
Just crazy stuff. And the feeling there was it's super intense. We started that night by sitting in like the bottom floor, the first floor. And they all gather you together and they kind of explain everything, areas you can go, areas you can't go, because it's old. There were some places where the floor was gone. There was old. I'm going to say no. No, it's not.
OSHA would be disappointed.
Very, very, very. Red card, for sure. But they were telling us all these things, and I'm not lying. Lori and I were there with like 15 people, and all of a sudden, we heard footsteps. And everybody stopped and looked around, and then the 3 or 4 people that actually ran the thing, they went to go investigate because they know exactly where footsteps typically come from, and they're like, yeah, there's no one up there. That those footsteps were for real. You guys all experienced it. It was creepy. Just a creepy vibe.
The hospital section, essentially, right?
So this thing was divided. It's huge. So it's divided in the different floors, but the infirmary, where the hospital section, incredibly thick energy.
Okay, so why are those? I wonder if there's like when you're ill, I don't know, is there something about that makes those places extra spooky? Because I know I went to Alcatraz and did a night tour, and the same thing, right? Like that was the scariest area, is where people were sick or dying, whatever the case may be. Like, why is that?
Because your frequency is lower, and the lower the frequency that you have will lead to illness, and other things from other dimensions can come mess with you because they match your frequency.
So is like frequency like your defenses, or?
Frequency is the energy that you're exerting at the moment. So right now we're all in high spirits. So we would be at a higher frequency. And so our mentality, our way of thinking is in what we call a happier state. When you're scared or feeling ill, you know how you think very negatively. So you're in a lower frequency. And that's when things tend to happen badly. Think about it this way. Have you ever been driving? You're like, oh, I don't want to get a ticket. I don't want to get a ticket. And then you start seeing a bunch of police officers. You're attracting that. You're in a negative mindset. And because that's all you're thinking about, you're manifesting it into your reality.
Wow.
When I drive and I got to go to somewhere, I'm like, I see nobody. God is with me. Let's go. I am invisible.
I always felt also that because infirmaries and things is where, unfortunately, people pass, that the energy, that's when the energy is transformed.
Or if there's like an in-between, right?
An in-between, or sometimes when an energy kind of sticks around, like, you know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it.
I guess Johnny's, okay, I see that Johnny was alluding to that too, right? Like in these cases, back in the day, they were torturing people. Mm-hmm. So again, that's what I'm saying by like lower frequency of fear, of pain, of agony, of being defensive, but also when people pass away, if they weren't ready to, or it was sudden, they might not know that they had passed away. And so like, that's why many religions will pray for people, is to guide them into the beyond.
I get it.
And so that's why it feels so heavy, because that's a lot of energy of unknown. And what does the human body not like? The unknown.
I was going to say, I also like the fact that you used the word frequency, because we were talking about energy. And if you talk about like, frequencies in waveform and energy in waveform, like that's, I don't know, I just think it's really fitting.
I agree.
And we can also see that in water. When you talk to water, it takes shape of what it is that you're talking to it. Like water molecules will actually make that.
That's something I got to try.
Yeah. Like you can manifest into your waters. But that's a whole other subject. Tune in next week and I will have a better explanation.
I have another question about water.
Because that got deep.
I don't understand it. How does it expand when it gets colder? Cold makes things smaller. I don't get it.
But you know what? Can you imagine that's why many religions hold water to such a high status? Because
holy water?
Like holy water, exactly. The fact that it's prayed into changes its frequency, and so when people get to it, it it's giving that to you. And that's why, people get baptized and things like that. Water is very special.
It's crazy.
And also, we're made of water. We need water.
It's so true. That I truly believe that there's a reasoning behind.
And my last crazy connection, again, sorry for using that word. I just can't help it. Child from the 90s, I guess. Because we're made out of water, and you'll see how the moon, when it's full, it makes the waves of the ocean crazier. Why do you think it causes us to be a little loony?
Mm. Yeah.
Loony also interesting, right? Because loony, like Luna.
Yeah, no, and it's because it was observed over time. It affects us so much. Like, everything is so connected, but as humans, because we don't understand it, we don't want to accept the fact that it's all connected.
Yeah.
But it's all a web. Sorry, I know you guys don't like spiders.
I do not like spiders. Don't like spiders.
It's also interesting that you bring up, like, it's been observed over time, right? Like, so the human starts recognizing these patterns, right? Because there's another, like, werewolves that's tied to the moon in certain cycles, right? And going back to this lunacy thing, it's just when people are kind of acting out. Yeah.
I believe it's called the almanac. I know English is my second language, so I don't always have the best pronunciations of things, but farmers use it to plant things according to the moon cycle. And if we were to only follow the moon cycle, then there would be 13 months, and they would all be even, rather than how they are. So it's just interesting, like, going back to the concept of relativity, right? How is everything in perspective? It just depends on how you're looking at it.
Yeah.
So I just think the moon is so powerful, and we take it for granted.
Well, I know that, Johnny, you're talking about the word lunatic and lunacy and things like that, and I know that it's kind of derived from a Latin of, which originally refers to, like, when people are mad or diseased and things, and back then they thought it had something to do with the moon.
Yeah, that's wild.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
And we still use a lot of that terminology,
Right.
I did not go to Preston Castle during a full moon.
Maybe you should.
It was creepy enough, guys. It really was. That energy there was insane. It was super thick. But I've been to a couple places. Lori's my wife, everyone. Lori and I, we do a lot of traveling, and she loves things like missions and old cathedrals and old churches,
Those
right?
creep me out. Like the missions every single time.
Oh man, we've seen them all. Wow. All the California missions.
See, I love the architecture of them, because I think, like, wow, somebody was so creative and really, like, captivated something so beautiful. But then I think about the history of it,
That's the part I have a hard
and
time.
I start crying.
Yeah. But that's maybe why, I don't know, there is that energy there. When I remember visiting, like, in 5th grade, they make you go do this thing.
San Juan Bautista.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, before I even, like, understood the history, it was just like, gave me the heebie-jeebies.
No, because you can. We're also intuitive, right? And a lot of that was, being Mexican, I'm a mestiza, meaning that the colonizers took over people, and there's the production of my ancestors.
Yep.
Right? And so these places just make me really sad, but I'm able to also appreciate, like, the artwork of things, like the fact that humans actually put in a lot of work into building structures to last a lifetime. For
sure. And I agree. And the crazy part about the structure lasting so long, I think that there's, and like you were saying, Johnny, how there's a strange connection, and it's kind of sad that they were basically forcing their religion on people and quote unquote enslaving people to help them actually build these things. There's a lot of energy there, and it's still there, because when I go, and I've gone to them all, even the most beautiful, Capistrano, perfect example. If you guys ever get an opportunity to go and you enjoy that kind of structure and stuff like that, it's unbelievable. But you walk into certain areas because you don't know that was there before, because they're all modernized a little bit, you know what I mean? And you can feel just change, super change. And that goes to, the energy can attach to anything. anything from hotels, hospitals. Yeah, I get hospitals and things like that. And these churches, you know, where people go and the belief is at an all-time high, like when you're in a church, right? But when you go like to hotels and things like that that are creepily haunted, just bizarre.
I mean, the way you said attaching like the energy, like to me reminds me of when people have built things and then have like either died in that process, the energy attaches there, but also if places like already exist, like a hotel or something like that, right? And then something bad happens there, then that like the energy is latched onto that place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You ever been to a haunted hotel?
I have driven by one and almost stayed there, but I am a scaredy cat.
Oh.
And I stayed at the Hotel 6 right across the street.
Sometimes you just got to leave the Espookies alone.
Oh.
But like I did walk in there during the day, obviously with all the lights on, because I'm not...
Didn't like it then either?
No, it was like you step up, like you take the stairs, and just like every single step, it like creaks. There's portraits of like... You know,
always
like
the stairs.
20. So this town, it's in Eureka. It's Eureka, Reno.
Oh, okay.
And this place used to be, you know, they would mine there. I think their main thing was like silver or something like that. And they used to have like a curfew. It was like 8 p.m. And so the town still does this. Like an alarm goes off at 8. And they've kept this, but it used to be because a lot of like the Chinese migrants worked there, and they lived underground. And basically at 8 p.m. the sheriff would leave the town, so that it was no longer safe for these like Chinese immigrants, because you know people were racist back then.
Oh yeah.
So at 8 p.m. this alarm goes off, and they're like basically get underground, or you know, we're not held responsible for what happens to you. So that's where like these hauntings come from. That's what they told me, because I did go to a saloon.
Oh, that makes sense.
And I was just like, yeah, I'm not staying in that hotel. No way.
That's creepy.
But that's about it. That's all. Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys are familiar. Also Nevada, also the silver mining, right? If you guys are aware of a place called Goldfield. So Goldfield, Nevada was a booming town, and I believe it was silver, and they had some mines nearby and all this good stuff, right? But now it's kind of a ghost town. There's a place there that's supposed to be one of the most haunted buildings in the U.S., and it's the hotel, the Goldfield Hotel. They've done numerous shows. They've done numerous, documentaries about this place. So Lori and I, because we're not all there, we're a little, sketch. We all thought to ourselves, hey, that'd be kind of a cool place to go. It's abandoned. It's shut down. It's locked up. So, of course, you know me. I'm one of those people. I'm like, oh, I'll just call. So I called the owner of this place, and they were like, we will allow you in with one of our people by ourselves at night into this hotel. Lady opens the door. We got there late, by the way. We were going to get there around dusk. It was pitch black when we got there. It's a drive. Anyways, so we got there. We go inside this hotel, and it's super grand. It's like one of those big, grand old hotels. And we walked through, and we were going through, and she was mentioning things to us and what has happened in all these rooms and specific people. There was a prostitute, who had a baby with a prominent person, and the baby was taken away from her at that hotel, and she actually fell down the elevator shaft or something crazy. Bunch of stuff. And we went in, and this lady was helping us. I actually had a couple of little devices, and one of them now this was just a thing on my phone, this particular one, where they actually show like a stick figure image when there's like a entity or something nearby.
Ooh, like an application.
Yeah. And so we're cruising around, there's nothing going on, and we're actually talking to these people and trying our best to get some type of like an intelligent response. We go downstairs to the base of the elevator. There's like it's not a room. It's like part of the wall's missing. So it's like a crawl space. And the lady said there's a lot of energy in there. And of course, you know me, I crawl in there, and now I'm in this little space, and I'm turned around, and I have my phone, and she was talking about the 3 workers that died putting in the elevator shaft, and then 3 little stick figures. Is that coincidence? Could that have been in my head? I mean, maybe, but it chills, cold air, things that completely change. It was the freakiest thing, guys, to be in an entire hotel by yourself. Basically, there was 3 human beings in there. Yeah, while all of this is going on and feeling all of that tense, just energy, heaviness. Oh,
Did anybody have a spirit box?
I did not have one with me at the time.
Oh. I would have loved to know their name.
You know, I don't know. Well, I mean, we kind of knew their names anyways because it's well documented that these people are there. It's also well documented that people have got these presents that are there. It was just crazy. If you ever have an opportunity, Goldfield, super awesome place. It's super awesome. I love that place. I would go again. Matter of fact,
We should go.
I'm going to invite you guys right now.
If they got a Hotel 6 across the street, I'm in.
I tell you what they do have.
What about a Motel 8?
So Lori and I do a lot of traveling. We have a travel trailer. It's kind of small, but it seats 4 people. You know what I mean? It's small. And in Goldfield, like right on the cusp, right on the edge of town, there's a little RV park. That's where we stayed. Because, you know what I mean? So we just kind of stayed there.
That's
And then,
nice.
yeah, and then you cruise in. It was, there's so much there, guys. So much. We go a lot of places. I don't know. We investigate a lot of things.
No, that's awesome. I mean, that you said you wanted to do this podcast to investigate.
I mean,
And you're doing it.
Because I'm already doing it, you know? But now I get to share it. I get to share it with you guys. That's nice. And then,
Our listeners love it.
Whoever's listening out there, I'm sharing it with you.
You were telling me about a place too, about like a clown.
Okay.
Okay.
Back up, Jack.
No?
Are you ready?
I don't know. I didn't like it the first time, so.
I personally have not been there. I've been there, but I haven't been there. I have not gone inside. But I've driven by it.
I was going to say, did you astro project
No.
that?
I've driven by it. We stopped. We saw the outside. I took a few pictures. I've watched episodes of stuff about it. I have gone and researched things. It's literally called the Clown Motel, and that's in Tonopah, Nevada. The Clown.
Why did it have to be a clown?
Oh my goodness, guys! It's worse than that, Johnny. It's worse than that. Let me explain.
Like insane clown posse?
Let me explain. Yeah, worse than that.
Okay.
We are sitting in my kitchen, right?
Mm-hmm.
How far do you think it is from this kitchen table to the street?
40 feet.
Okay. That same type of distance from the Clown Motel is one of the oldest cemeteries. In
like the west?
I don't know. They're saying that it's super old though.
Okay.
So the town of Tonopah was back in the day and all that stuff. So that's when that's. So they say that cemetery is so incredibly haunted, and that the Clown Motel is probably built on old burial grounds. That everything is so intense with energy and all of these things that people have documented, written down, whatever, mentioned that they've seen full apparitions, that they have seen all sorts of crazy stuff in this particular cemetery. And then one guy, I'm not lying to you, I was there, we were talking to him, and he goes, you know what? We saw full ghosts in the cemetery, and that didn't freak me out. You know what freaked me out? Was what was happening directly above us. He said that there was so much UFO activity that night that's what was freaking him out, because he kind of expected
The haunting.
the hauntings and the supernatural. I mean, if you believe you can kind of conjure some stuff up, maybe it was, but they weren't expecting the fact that there was things hovering above them.
Have you ever seen an apparition?
Woo!
Because I have not, but my mom told me a story once that has stayed with me that she did.
Let's hear it.
So my mom used to be a house cleaner, and she told me one day she picked me up from school, and it was like weirdly quiet, like quieter than she was a talker for sure. So she picked me up and she would like say things. This one evening or afternoon, she picks me up and she's like not really talking, and she basically asked me, she was like, "Do you believe in ghosts?" And I was like, "No, Mom, I believe in science." And she was like, "I understand, but I got this really weird feeling today while I was like cleaning, and I was like by myself in this house." Or she said she was cleaning the bathroom, and she heard her sister, which is weird because her sister lives in El Salvador. And she said that she like heard her sister, so she like turns to look, and she sees her sister standing there, but a very young version of her sister. And my mom freaked out. She was just like, I thought I was, like inhaling the fumes, like
like hallucinating or something, right?
And she was like, I think I'm like about to pass out. And her sister just like I don't remember exactly what she said, but it was something like calming, like relaxing, like it's gonna be okay or it's fine or something like that. And then the apparition disappeared. Later that night, we get a call from my uncle in El Salvador, and my aunt had passed. So that is the only, and like I really don't believe in ghosts. I try not to because it scares me, but that story has stuck with me because she told me that, and I remember that night because like my mom started crying on the phone later that night. I didn't know what happened.
No.
Yeah.
No, we don't say no.
I don't mean no. I don't mean no like they didn't happen. I meant like no. like
Cause see, like I guess maybe it's because I don't believe in like the word ghost has a negative connotation, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So to me, it's just like, oh, a soul came to visit. And that's like exciting because we all have one, but it's covered by this meat sack that we call a body. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like how
meat sack?
His meat bag. His own meat bag.
That is the greatest description that I've ever heard. I'm stealing that one.
It's yours. Congrats. But you know what I mean? So to me, it's like a true blessing. It's like a whole miracle to be able as sisters to have such a connection that you're able to say like a goodbye, essentially.
Yeah.
To be able to have some type of closure. Like that's beautiful. Which, I mean, if we're going to talk about apparitions, when my grandmother passed away on my maternal side, I remember being at the viewing and just seeing her spirit above her and just being amazed by it and being confused why everybody was sad when I can clearly see her. But I can't go tell my mom that. She was weeping her eyes out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
So from a young age, I've just had a true appreciation for souls and
I wonder
apparitions.
if it has something to do with like the individual, right? Because I have another. So my aunt had something similar, but it was her son.
Oh.
So my aunt, I lived in El Salvador for a few years, and my aunt is the one that watched over me, and she told me something similar where her son passed away. I forgot exactly how he passed away, but it was like some freak accident.
Oh.
She was visited by him, and his name was Abel, and she told me about that. So I wonder if she's tied now to seeing her son, come kind of visit her, and then like the day she passed away, visiting my mom. Like I don't know if she just had, I don't know.
I think I've seen apparition, but not in the sense that like it was right next to me. So again, when I lived in Lodi, the house next to us, there was a young male boy, right? And I forget what disease he had, and he passed away in that house. And a couple years later, I'm shooting. Dude, I lived out in the country where there was no one out there, so I'm just shooting hoops by myself. You know what I mean? But I remember looking towards the house and seeing him looking at me, which is fine. I didn't feel bad. I didn't feel scared. I didn't whatever. I was very confused because I knew who I was looking at, but he had passed a couple years prior. So things like that do happen, you know, and maybe while he was sick, maybe, I don't know, because I didn't ever really pay attention. Maybe that was one of the things he did. He just watched me play basketball. Wish he could be outside and play, you know, but.
Oh, that's so sad.
I know.
That breaks my heart.
Oh, don't freak out, because that'll freak me out.
I just want to cry.
I've definitely never seen anything like that, but I feel like people that have passed visit me in dreams, and like that's almost kind of going back to our dreams episode.
Well, you know, Eva says that you go to the spirit world, and I think that's amazing.
Yeah, I had one dream where both my aunt and my mom visited me, and like it's definitely these two, like, and I don't remember exactly what was happening, but I went to go. My aunt came to hold me, and she turned to dust in my arms, and like kind of like ash, and like faded away. But I wasn't scared. It was like this very calming, like kind of feeling where it was just like, it felt like a goodbye. I don't know, but it was like nice. And normally when I see, I don't know, anybody that has passed in my dreams, I like wake up in a terrible mood or like unhappy. This time I like felt relieved.
That's like crossing. That's like you help somebody cross over into the beyond. Most people call it heaven.
Yeah, that one.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
That is cool.
Yeah, because, you know, people would think like, oh, ash is a bad thing, but that's symbolic. Like, In the Catholic faith, it's you were created from ash, you're going to go back into ash, and that's why we have Ash Wednesday, to remember that.
She was very, very Catholic. Like, very Catholic. So that's interesting. I never thought of it that way.
So, like, immediately as soon as you said it, I was like, oh, she's letting you know that she's done all the overseeing.
Wow.
That's beautiful. Oh my goodness, I want to cry.
Wait for the video. I mean, yeah, I think that's awesome. When I don't get visited very often, I'm not gonna lie, but my dad checks in on me every once in a while, and I'm like, yeah, that's kind of the same way, where whether it's a memory type dream or whether it's kind of what's going on right then, whatever, I always feel a little calm. I always feel good.
And I'm really sorry, listeners, if you've already heard this story, but I'm feeling the need to share it again. I was at my mom's house, well, my parents' house. They're still together, happily married. And shout out to them. And
right on.
I remember, like, it was Sunday morning. I wanted to go home and get ready for the week. It's like a 2-hour drive. And I woke up and I was like, Mom, your mom, my grandmother, said I can't leave until you give me the ring. And I was like, it's a purple ring. It's a gold ring with a purple stone. And my mom was like, yeah. Or my mom and my older sister bought it. Yeah, you can have it, borrow it, whatever, right? And I was like, no, Mom, I'm super serious. Like, I know my dad is sleeping and is a big inconvenience, but I cannot leave until you find it. And I was very adamant. And my mom was like, okay, thank you, Mom, for being supportive. And she helped me quietly bring all this stuff, because we both remember it being in a particular jewelry box, but it wasn't there. So we searched. It is now 4:30 p.m. We have spent hours looking for this ring. My dad wakes up. It's time for him to get ready for work. So now we have family dinner, having a good time. I'm like, it is what it is. I've accepted that I'm going to go home, go to sleep, go to work. When my mom goes to look and she removes the drawer completely, okay? The ring was where you pull out the drawer. Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like the mechanical piece, the rail, right? How'd the ring get there? How did it not get squished?
Especially if you're pulling the drawer out.
Right.
Yeah.
And so my brother works for the fire service, right? So he looked at how many accidents have been in the day. There's about 3 within that time frame. So me staying home.
Yeah,
was
looking
a
for
good
that
thing.
ring.
Looking
And then
for
when
that
it was
ring.
safe, ooh, that is wild.
And then so I finally ended up leaving. It was like 6:30. Smooth sailing all the way home. Wild, right?
It is
Like,
wild.
that is such a blessing.
It is. And having someone, you can't help but feel, I have felt this myself. You can't help but feel that someone's watching out,
Yeah.
looking over you, watching you, taking care of you still.
I would say another really cool recent moment with my grandmother was during college. I was 22 years old and I was living with my aunt because I was going to 2 schools at the same time, trying to get my nursing degree. Turns out that wasn't for me, but it was fun. Like, I like the medical field. I have high respect for it. It's so fascinating. Wanted to be a surgical nurse. It's not too late.
It's
Maybe
never
later
too
in
late.
life.
Absolutely.
It's not too late.
You could totally do that.
So my cousin had told me that she needed me to take like one of her bags to her because she was going straight from work to school. So she was just going to go to the gym and then get ready and go to class. And I was like, okay, I got you. No worries. So I grabbed a bag and I left. And then I realized that her and her sister have the same bag. So I grabbed the wrong bag. So then I had to like go back to the house. And as I'm waiting to turn, they lived like off a busy street, waiting to turn into the the driveway, like there's the sidewalk. So not only does a man start walking his dog, so I'm waiting for that. The bus pulls over in front of the house to drop off the children from school. Like all this stuff. And all of a sudden, I feel like that heavy feeling and start having a vision of a car going into my car. And I'm like, great, an accident's about to happen and there's nothing I can do because there's so many other factors. So I just relax and just let it happen. This car, because my aunt kind of lived like off a curve, and it's blinding. So if you're going too fast, you don't see what's happening in front of you. It's too late. So she makes impact with my car. Her car's completely totaled. My car is like smushed in. And I kid you not, I'm in a 93 Honda Del Sol. Okay. Like, it has one airbag.
Yep.
Just one. That car was going so fast, and I was completely stopped. I have no idea how I wasn't severely injured other than a sprained arm. But I could feel and I could see my grandma holding me.
Yeah.
Like, holding me.
That's
like
nuts.
the seatbelt, like I got no whiplash, like because she was holding me, like embracing me so tight that I didn't even move. And I knew she was there because I could like see her but not see her. It was very strange. But I was just so grateful, and I didn't even realize my injuries until the officer came on site and kept asking me for things one at a time and saying, "Use your right hand. Try it with your right hand," because he could see the injury. I couldn't even feel it.
I mean, it makes sense that these people, especially when they're here with us, spend so much energy trying to protect us, and that if energy is infinite, they would continue to do that once they...
Energy's infinite. I say it all the time.
We should make that into a merch.
Oh, man. I think I could do that.
some hoodies for the winter, just throwing it out there.
Well,
The infinite sign. But it was an awesome experience.
That's cool. I think that's a great experience. So, maybe that we continue this conversation, because right now we're kind of past the old 30-minute mark, but talking about people who've cared about us and people who we've lost who aren't really lost. Do you know what I mean? They're going to be with us, because that energy is infinite.
And I'm happy you're saying that, because just because Day of the Dead is no longer here, right? But like, as we go into the holiday season, it's very important for us to remember those, because they're with us always.
Just to wrap it up a little bit, I got to do one little house cleaning thing for you guys. I have to let you guys know that I'm glad that you brought up the holiday season. All of us have families. All of us have friends. As much as I love doing this, I think we're going to take a little hiatus through the month of December so that we can share it with our families. So this will be the last episode of the year, but we're going to come back next year. I'm going to call it season 2. And I need to let you know that we did it. We visited my Thea. We got a lot of stories. We got a lot of things. There's a lot of things happening. It's going to be absolutely amazing. We did a spirit board session. Yeah. That was creepy. Yeah. It's not like the movies, guys. It's not like the movies. The energy, cut it with a knife. It was so thick. It was, at least that was my experience, and I will share all that with you too. But I just want to thank you guys again for making this such a successful and fun adventure. And thank you both, because I can't do it without, I could do it without you, but
it just wouldn't be as good.
Not only that.
Remember, you're third liked.
Wow.
Let me remind you. Let me humble you with some humble pie.
No, you know what I'm saying. I love you guys.
Likewise.
Go ahead. Thanks.
And just to clarify with everybody, this will be the end of season 1.
The end of season 1.
Wow. I feel so special as the last guest.
Johnny's the last guest.
We finally got him. It took all season.
They finally booked me. You've been here the whole time.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you, everyone. And this is pretty awesome. And we will be back in January with a brand new episode, season 2, episode 1. So thank you. And again, make sure you send us emails, like, subscribe, all that good stuff at spookystalk@gmail.com. And tonight, as you guys nestle your little heads onto your gigantic pillow and get ready, you need to be sure to look under your bed.
Lock your closet and mirrors, but remember, happy holidays.
It's a spooky time.
Joe through the door with